Okay. There's so much to unpack here. I took notes because I had to take notes because I would have forgotten all these things. The first note that I put down was that racism breeds racism. That's the first thing I thought. I think one of the reasons why you see this kind of reaction in the black community when someone in the black community dates outside of their race. It doesn't matter what the race is. Doesn't matter if they're Latino. Doesn't matter if they're white. Doesn't matter if whatever it is if they're not black. As a matter of fact, sometimes it might be black, but if they're too light skinned for some people, you know what I mean? If they're too high yellow for some people's comfort, you see this kind of race. It's still racism, but it's not the same temperature. It's not the same velocity of racism that you would normally associate with that word. What I mean is, I think that a lot of it comes from maybe a backlash against the racism that was perpetrated on black people for centuries in this country, and now to a much lesser extent than it was before, but still exists. That I think at many different points in history, particularly the 50s and 60s and 70s, particularly those 3 decades that brought the black community together as a whole, that brought us together to kind of want to understand and be close to each other and all other stuff. But what happens is, and start working towards change and working towards equality and working towards having our own and all that stuff, right? This, I think, is a byproduct of that, as opposed to being equal and on par with and being comfortable with being equal and on par with and indoctrinated with this idea that this was not our country. It makes total sense. Black people were brought here involuntarily. We were enslaved. We were persecuted. Laws were made against us. Like, totally unconstitutional shit was done. The atrocities and the massacres and the lynchings and the bombings and everything that was done to black people in decades past. It makes total and the history of all of that makes total sense to say this was not originally our country and this is not our society. It then takes a turn depending on how you look at it. I like to think that this country really is not any one particular group of peoples. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I understand that for the most part, white people are in charge of a lot of positions of what we constitute as power in this country, but there are enough minorities, and there are enough minorities in positions of power to not have it be where it's specifically white people's country. I think that there's enough of everybody now. And another facet of the history of America is other nationalities integrating themselves into this country and making this them coming over voluntarily and making this their country. Yes, we came over involuntarily, but that doesn't mean we can't make this our country. That doesn't mean we can't make this our nation. That doesn't mean we can't have that, and we do every day interweave ourselves in the fabric of this country. But in the communities, out on the stoops, in the barbershops, what you have is still this kind of internal racism, where it's like, why can't you be with your own? Why can't you be with your own kind? Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to, why do you have to, you can have white friends on. Why do you have to sleep with one? Why do you have to, go off and marry one? And you know what? There is something to be said for some guys who see that as a social status prize. But you could, some girls even too, but you could say the same thing about people and any other kind of person. There are white guys who, their biggest trophy is to get with an Asian chick. Rule fucking 34. Damn it. It's whatever you're into, that's the hottest thing that you want at that particular point in time. And maybe, as a guy, you want to knock some stuff off your list. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm completely innocent of that. There are quite a few kinds of women, different types and shapes and colors and everything. And I'm like, you know what? I wonder what it would be like to be with a fill in the blank. I wonder what it would be like to date and hang out with and come back to the apartment with fill in the blank, right? maybe that's just a guy thing. But for me, it's not a racist thing because I've said before out of the videos, I'm an equal opportunity employer. But I believe that racism breeds racism. So I believe that part of the reason why you see this kind of backlash from the black community when a member of it goes outside their race, or like I said, in some cases goes too high yellow, because at one point we had to stick together. At one point, it was not a matter of anything else other than we must stick together because they are trying to fucking kill us. That was an everyday, real life, real world situation that especially depending on where you were in this country, motherfuckers were trying to kill you on a daily goddamn basis. Or trying to literally kill, not systematically take away your yada yada or break you down with fast food or chemtrails or whatever the fuck. I mean, motherfuckers were showing up on your doorstep with shotguns ready to blast you in the fucking face. They were burning crosses they were burning down your houses and bombing your fucking churches. They were trying to kill you every goddamn day just for being black. Now motherfuckers try to kill you just because they're fucking crazy. So I believe that turned into the us versus them mentality that you kind of see. She mentioned black expectations versus white expectations. She was talking for a bit about how black girls talk about he's got to be tall, he's got to be fit, he's got to be this, he's got to be that, he's got to be this, he's got to have this size dick, he's got to be this, that, and the other. White girls and girls of other nationalities do the same thing too. It's human nature. We all fucking do it. Here's the difference. Black girls really fucking mean it. Whereas girls of other nationalities are willing to bend sometimes. Girls of other nationalities talk a big game about what they absolutely positively must have, but most shit isn't a deal breaker. Some shit is, a lot of shit isn't a deal breaker on them. Like the shit they say is, you gotta take it with the grain of salt. What most other chicks say. Black chicks will stick to their plan just to fucking defy you. That's kind of the nature of the beast. And I don't mean to call them beasts. Dating. The beast is dating. That's the nature of dating a black woman. A lot of times they'll stick by their guns just to fucking spite you, nigga. Yes, they'll fucking say it. That's the difference. White girls still have those high, I have trouble with white girls, partially because I'm black, partially because I'm the perfect sexual height of 5'6.5". And I've seen it other times before. They have all these expectations, but here's the difference. I've broken that shit down quite a few times. Yes, I have. And I've seen other guys break through those other arbitrary barriers before. Yes, I have. I've seen it happen more often with women who aren't black than with women who are black. And I think part of that is also upbringing. I think part of that is also, you stick by your standards, you're a gym. All this stuff that we're told, that black people typically are told at childhood a lot of the times is that, your standard, again, another backlash from a lot of that racism is to kind of build and to really stimulate that ego and that confidence level, that internal confidence in your kids and in your neighbor's kids and all this other stuff that you see around you. So, you don't take no mess and you don't bend and and that's, I think at this particular point is turning into more of a problem than a solution to not bend some on some expectations, to not bend some on some things that you do, to not bend on, and it's not necessarily dating. It could be business, it could be social, it could be with your friends, it could be with your money, it could be with whatever. To not have the ability to be flexible and to bend can work against you, and I think that's part of the thing that's working against a lot of black women in their expectations of getting black men. First, let's not even talk about my views on monogamy. In short, I think monogamy is a bit antiquated and not for everybody. Getting past that, let's say monogamy is for you. This idea that you must be monogamous with somebody of your own race is a bit antiquated as an idea. Black people, we have a few tribal things that are still in us. You know what I mean? And I don't mean tribal as in, I mean tribal as in all humans at some point at a time were in like shit, that stuff. Alright? Why am I being PC? Fuck it, I'm black and I'm drunk and it's my goddamn channel. Fuck that. I think that's a tribal reptilian brain thing that we have. That we need to get past for our rational brain and for society as a whole to get better and to grow. Speaking of society getting better and growing, here's another note that I took. At some point, she made a point about extinction. Thinks the black culture is going to become extinct, and the black women are going to be extinct, and so on and so forth. Good. Good. Same thing with the Asians, same thing with the whites, same thing with the Latinas, same thing with the Germans, same thing with the West Indians. Good! You know what kind of culture I want? I want the culture of people who showed up at South Park, or from however many years later, who came back to try to inhabit and change the planet, right? This one race culture, this people, this human race. Not you're from, fucking not that you're from Europe, you're from Africa, you're from Asia. No, this human being, this amalgam of human beings. You know why? Because guess what science will tell you? Interbreeding is good. For whatever species we're talking about, interbreeding tends to be good. Your purebred dogs die a whole hell of a lot shorter, or die sooner than your mutts. Humans are no different in that the interbreeding of races makes for better, stronger offspring than fucking purebreds. Sorry. So, as far as black women becoming extinct, yes. Along with every other race of every other person, until we come down to one, until it's, and not a war of attrition one. I mean, everybody mixing with, a swirling of the fucking party bowl, baby. That kind of one. We're just one relatively brown race of human being that probably at that point would live forever. Next point. Black women don't put in the work to build black men. I'm going to take a sip before I comment on this. When she made this point, when she made the point that white women don't put in the work to build black men, and I said, neither do you. That's not entirely true. When it comes to, it's a little bit more true now than it was, I would say, 10 to 15 to 20 years ago. Black men not being in the home, that's where I'm going, has been an issue for decades, for various reasons, not the least of which, that outside racism, motherfuckers killing you just for walking down the street. Now, it has more to do with black women making shitty choices in the men they fuck. And not just black women, women in general, who are single with kids and the father's not around, making poor choices on who to breed with.